Look out, this glass fusing project will shock you, sort of. I hope you are well out there, staying safe, and if you haven't been to my channel before, this is Rocket Rose Art and my name is Jeff. And if you do subscribe to the channel, make sure you turn on the notifications, because without them on, you won't be notified when I make new videos. So, what's the story behind this project? Well, it's pretty much like a lot of the projects I do. Starts out with one thing, ends up with another thing, and sometimes with a nice surprise at the end. This one's a little bit like that. It went through quite a bit of evolution. I needed to make a small square plate. I was just going to make strips of glass, just alternate some strips of glass, keep it really simple. Of course, then I thought, well, strips of glass are pretty boring, so I thought, let's make them wiggly strips of glass, which raised all sorts of issues. How do I make it wiggly? I'll have to cut it wiggly and so forth. But I did come up with a good solution for that. Then I thought of reactions, so then I chose glasses that have a reaction. And in the end, I think you'll find it just a little shocking. But don't get too worried. Now, the techniques we'll use in this are pretty straightforward. You should be able to do this, no problems at all. Basically, it's just straightforward cutting, creating some small pieces of chips of glass, and you will be fixing some Devit, or at least I had to fix some Devit, and then the slumping on the end. So there's no real cold working involved. So hopefully a good, simple project for you with a really nice result. And let's get on with it. First thing, of course, is the design, the materials, and the equipment. But just before we get into it, don't forget down the bottom down there should be a little thanks button, and your support would be appreciated. The design is based upon this mould here. It's only a shallow square mould, and it's 185 by 185. This is the design here. It is simply alternating strips of colour with, instead of a straight edge, a wiggly edge. And you'll see later on just how I achieve that wiggly edge. I'm definitely not going to try and cut the edges into a wiggle and match them up. Now, the colours are the Egyptian blue and sunflower yellow. I've chosen those because they are reactive, so I'm hoping I'll get a bit of a reaction where they meet. And they're also complementing colours. The finish will be a full polish, and the edges will be rounded, not squared off. And because of the colours, this one has copper, this one has sulphur, it won't be food safe. Keep in mind, this is the design at the moment, but like most of my designs, it's a little fluid. Now I'll just run over the materials. We've got 0164 Egyptian blue here. We've got 0220 sunflower yellow and just plain texture clear. The clear will go on the back, by the way, which I didn't mention before. And this is all Bullseye 90 COE glass. The other thing I'll be using is thin fire on the shelf, and on the mould I'll be spraying it with boron nitride. As far as equipment is concerned, I don't really expect to have to use anything other than my normal things, which is just a glass cutter and straight edge and so forth, because I do want a rounded edge and I don't expect that I'll have to do any finishing work on the edges. As far as the firing schedules are concerned, you'll find them in the video description, not in the video itself, and they're in there so that I can update them if necessary. I know it looks a little bit like strip construction, but it's not really. But if you're interested in strip construction, there will be a card in the top right there, and if you click on that, that'll take you to one of my projects that does use strips. Now what I've got here is I've got thin fire on the shelf, and then I've put the clear on, and then I've put each of the strips that I cut on, and I've put these dams around here just to hold it all in place while I'm doing this. And then I've laid up these little bits of Egyptian blue on end, and then I'm going to take that over to the kiln and full fuse it. Now the idea is that these will fuse down and create a wobbly line there. I haven't tested this, so I'm not absolutely sure it's going to work, but we're going to end up with something because we're going to have a lot of glass in there, and it's got to move and go somewhere. So there we have it. The lines on the back are not dead straight. They've got some waviness about them, but that's fine. It doesn't bother me in the least. But what's the front look like? I think it looks fantastic. It's exactly what I was hoping to achieve. Got this nice irregular edge. We have this reaction between the Egyptian blue and the sunflower yellow. We even have some nice effect with where the little bits of glass that I put on edge were. So that's a really nice effect that it's actually given, rather than having a really plain colour here. It's given a little bit of a pattern, I suppose is what you'd say. So I'm really happy with that. I think that's worked out beautifully. That is going to make a really nice plate. Now, there is a little problem. There's a little bit of Devit. You can see it there. And some of it is, if I can find the right place here for you, up here you can see a little bit of a haze there. That's because the pieces of glass that I use were offcuts from me using the ring saw to cut out some shapes. So they had a much rougher edge, and that has left that little haze there. I did see them when I was laying it up, and I sort of thought, no, it'll be right because I'm going to take it up to a high temp and we're going to fuse it for a while. But obviously it wasn't right. So that I have to fix. I have to fix that and all the Devit. But other than that, I shouldn't have to do any cold working. I'm quite happy with the edges. They're nice and round, and I don't really want to touch them. Yeah, a little bump, but look, with this type of design, I don't worry about that sort of thing. If it was more geometric, straight lines and all of that, I'd want a nice clean edge. But with this sort of thing, I really don't worry about it. Well, how do I fix this Devit? I could sandblast it. Don't particularly want to sandblast it because I'm afraid the sandblasting will affect the pattern on the top, and I really want to retain that. Sandblasting is quite aggressive. So the next thing is to just sprinkle on or sift on some clear frit, and then we'll refuse it. So I'll do that, we'll get a fire polish done, and I'll be back. So I sprinkled on a layer of clear frit and I've refused it full fuse, and we've now got quite a nice polish on it. It's got a little bit more texture in it than the other one, but it's still pretty good. So now I've just got to get this on the mould and into the kiln, and we'll do the final slump. What do you think? Tell me in the comments. I love it. I think it's worked out beautifully. It's a really nice surprise. It's better than what I thought it would be. I thought it would be maybe just a little bit plain, but I really liked the piece, so I'm very happy with that. Now, the only problem I did have was that Devit that you've seen. I had to fix that Devit, but in the end, we had a really nice polished piece. So don't forget, if you've got any questions, ask them in the comments and I will try and answer them for you. And if you just want to make some general comment, fantastic. Love to hear from you. Now, before you go away, there's a playlist up there of member-only videos. There's a button there if you're interested, and you can find out more information. Down the bottom down here is a suggested video just for you. Click on the logo to subscribe. That's it for this one. So I'll say bye for now.